I think every time I go to record, my brother-in-law's mowing. We're out here at Mother Hubbard's Farms, which is what we're reviving. And Steve and I are working today. We are watering. We haven't had any rain here in Northwest Indiana. To speak of, we had one rainstorm in like the last 2 to 3 weeks. So everything is really dry. We've been watering pretty thoroughly, but you can tell the plants really need water. Looking in the forecast, we do have some rain coming up, but nothing exciting, which is very weird for spring in Northwest Indiana. We're pretty close to the lake, so we usually get a lot of like lake effect snow, lake effect rain, and this year it's just not happening. So hopefully that'll change soon. But let me show you what we have. What you doing, Farmer Steve?
Well, I'm giving myself a little bit of this mulched up, cut up grass to give a little love to the plants, to embrace them, wrap its loving little roots around them, and keep them moist.
Some of the tomatoes have been struggling, as you can see, from a little transplant shock. So we gave them some extra love today. So we've got beefsteaks in the first row, cherry tomatoes and paste tomatoes in the second row, along with some basil. Got basil planted in there, along with the tomatoes. Even though the weather was getting warm, I went ahead and planted some brassicas, and they are suffering. I knew they would, but you never know what your season's going to be like. So they're kind of laying down. We'll see. It's been, the temperature has been back and forth, which is not good. I've got some beans and Swiss chard planted, but those have not sprouted yet. I went ahead and direct sowed them. My cherry peppers have all but just pittered out. There's still a couple little starts hanging out there. We'll see what they do. The squash, we're putting a little bit of grass around those. It has been super dry here in Indiana, which is unseasonable. This time of year it's usually raining constantly, at least once a week, and we're getting rain about once every 2 to 3 weeks, which is just not enough. So the plants are suffering, even though we are watering constantly every day. So we're just trying to protect that base a little bit with some grass to offer some shade, to help hold some of that moisture into the compost. I did the same thing over here on a root veg garden, because these, if you've ever grown radishes before, they usually only take about 25 days. These are 2 weeks old and they are still stuck here. And that is not normal for radishes. So we're mulching them up a little bit, give them a little bit of shade. I did plant them on the far east side of the garden, where we have some shade, morning shade provided by the trees. I figured that would help, because this is basically a full sun garden. And yeah, they're really struggling. If they don't take off soon, then I'll probably just let them go, and once the tomato plants are up, I'll re-sow them under the tomatoes where they can get some shade. Here comes the mister.
All right. I went and got some grass for your fine vegetables, and
For the squash.
yeah, I got
Probably
some grass for your squash.
Probably need to do that around the tomatoes too, the far row that's suffering a little bit. They just got some transplant shock, I think, because it's been so dry. They're not doing so great. Over here, I have the cucumbers started. And after cucumbers down here, I have some green beans. These are obviously pole beans. I just sowed some over here too. And we'll get to that in a minute. And some peas. Now, these are sugar snap peas. Down here, I have my loofah gourds started. But, you know, I have to get a trellis up for them. But obviously, there's some time. Over on, and here, We've tilled up this bed. I really wanted to stick with no dig, but this is such a big area and it's a lot of compost. We'll have to build the ground over time, but yeah, we'll just go with what we have for now. I do have some sweet potato slips started, and they're all healthy. They're all doing okay. This one over here has a little bit of rust on the leaves, but it's not real bad. I think that'll bounce back just fine. It's only one leaf. My goji berry is finally showing signs of life. It was just a twig for so long. I thought I got a bad plant, but it's finally come to life. So we'll see. I've actually never grown goji berry, so I'm interested to see how that goes. For an experiment, I went ahead and put some fava beans in. You're not supposed to plant them in late spring, but I figured why the heck not. So I think I put like 12 or 13 beans in to see how those did here in our climate. And then I have some more pole beans. Nothing's really coming up. This is just a big dirt trough right now. And I threw some more sugar snap peas in because you really seem to, we go through a lot of those. They're good raw, they're good sauteed in stir fries. Over here I have first year asparagus. Obviously there's no picking this year, but I have asparagus in here, and I have purple asparagus over here, except for it looks like I got one mixed in. Maybe it is purple, I don't know, it looks green to me. Obviously no harvest this year since it's the first year planting. This is a little plum tree, and I thought I was about ready to kick the bucket, but when I pulled the wood chips aside, I don't know if you can see that on the screen or not, but I finally got signs of life down at the base, so I think that's going to spring back. Transplanting is really hard on plants, so sometimes you lose some. Excuse me, I'm out of breath. I've been out here working for a while. We got our melon patch in here, and that is just starting. They're just itty bitty babies. And over here I have, I forgot to water this section. I've got some comfrey planted, and here on the end and along the side of the sugar baby watermelons. And that is going to, hopefully, it's basically, I planted it for the compost bin. Giant watermelons, they have done okay transplanting. I haven't seen a whole lot of shock. They're a little yellow, but they've only been in 2 days, so I'm pleased to see the brand new growth is green. Our strawberry patch is all in. There's 75 roots in there actually. And our corn's looking good. It's supposed to be knee-high by July, and at the rate it's growing, yeah, it'll be good. So this is a hardy kiwi plant. Now, I have never grown kiwi and was astonished that it even grew here. But this hardy kiwi supposedly is supposed to be like a small tree or bush and grow kiwis. I've actually talked to a few people who've grown something similar, and they said that it's just kind of a waste. The kiwis are really tiny like grapes and don't really produce. So if that's the case with this, I will rip it out. I don't want to waste time with anything in here that is just going to suck nutrients out of the soil and not give me anything back. Here you can maybe see we got yellowing of the first leaves here, but the new growth is actually pretty green. So, like I said, I really do think the pumpkins will be fine. Back in the corner, I have just some flowers. Just something to attract, you know, the pollinators. I got some sunflowers. I got some gladiolas. There's a couple, I can't remember the one bush I got. I really can't remember. In the center there's a bush that should be popping up. This is another one of those kiwi plants. My apple trees are doing quite well. I've got 2 here. And these are galas. I just leave the tag on them for a little while to keep my mind fresh with what's going on, because it's easy to forget. Now this is a plum tree, Catalina plum. Supposedly it's supposed to germinate itself or pollinate itself. It's supposed to be self-pollinating. We will see if that actually happens. And an autumn flame peach tree. So we started our compost bins. Steve is working on getting me some more pallets. And I definitely we have to get these attached. I just have them zip tied to the fence right now, just to give us somewhere to put the stuff that we're pulling. But I'll show you what we got. It doesn't take long to build your own compost pile. So this is pretty low tech. Just got the pallets again, and again, they have to be secured in. Right now they're just zip tied to the fence to hold them up. But that's all just basically weeds. Obviously there's some dirt mixed in, which I really didn't want in a compost pile, but it'll all settle. This is pretty sandy soil here, so it will all basically kind of just fall down to the bottom. And it'll give the worms somewhere to start going up as, you know, we pile stuff on there. It'll give them a nice cool home to chill out on hot days. How's it going over here?
Well, I'm kind of dressing them up, giving them a little hair.
I appreciate all the help, mister.
Well, of course.
You are giving them a nice wig.
Yeah.
Nice little birdie nest around them.
Absolutely.
That should help. They just look like they're suffering from some transplant shock. And
Poor little bastards.
well, without the rain, I mean, we haven't had any rain. We need a good thunderstorm. That'll wake this garden up like nobody's business.
Yeah, it will.
Our farm dog, she's all tuckered out.
Oh, farm dog.
Little farm dog's tired. She's been running around all day.
Oh, farm dog.
She's laying by the car telling me she's ready to go home. Oh. 14 yards of compost in that itty bitty bit right there. That sad little pile is all I have left. The wood chip pile, though, is quite mountainous still. We have quite a bit of wood chips to move.